the second serial of this presentation, that is theory of volunteerism. As human person, we all have a tendency to help other people. So my first question to Dr. Joel is how this volunteerism originates in human beings?
In human mind,
Yes.
the love, the feeling of love, affection, kindness, goodness, goodwill, helping tendency for others, the helping thirst for others, the innate burden of every human being to help others. All these things take an expression, and that form of expression is nothing but volunteerism.
So, sir, till date, we don't have much theories related to NGO management. But in your book, you have brought up a theory called theory of volunteerism.
Yeah.
So, we are excited to know what it is.
So, yeah, I would be explaining that the theory of volunteerism picture and the descriptions written here. I have categorized the volunteerism into different levels. The number one is sacrificial volunteerism. You see that it's below 1%. By sacrificial volunteerism, I mean the human beings, the persons tend to sacrifice their life for the cause of the others. For example, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, and many other people in the local areas whose names are not known to us. I have great respect for those people who sacrificed in the field, whose names are not known, but there are people who sacrifice the entire life for the welfare of the others. They don't read development theory or social concept, all these things. I would say theories of social work, theories of volunteerism, theories of development originate from them. So that is the level of the sacrificial volunteerism which we come across. The second category, and this hardly 1%, it's very rare to see. The second one is the traditional volunteerism. For example, my parents were working for the welfare of the visually challenged. So I work for the welfare of the people. So somebody's parents were working for the community welfare, social welfare. Their grandfathers, they were working. So it comes traditionally generation by generation, and it passes on. The Indian context, some Gandhian leaders, they were working with Gandhiji, then they have been working independently, and their children are now taking the role of volunteerism. So this comes as a traditional way. So the values, principles, ethics, good qualities learned from their parents are inculcated by the children, and that goes to the society. This is a traditional volunteerism. The third, the traditional volunteerism, I would say 10% is prevalent in the country. The third one is professional volunteerism. This is a very interesting subject for all of us today. People who study social work, people who study NGO management, people who study MBA, people who study sociology, rural development, urban development, who have understood the concept of development clearly by professional learning, they want to go and work with the people, the NGOs, with a lot of ethics and principles. So such people contribute 20% of the volunteerism. The other category, imitative or amateur volunteerism. Somebody is doing good NGO, why not I do? I would call it a Xerox copy volunteerism. They want to do same thing. I have experienced that a driver who was, a person who was working as a driver to a director of an NGO was able to promote an organization. I don't deny it. If the volunteerism is strong and genuine, they can promote the organization. There are NGO workers again go and do another NGO. As long as the intention is genuine, this volunteerism can be encouraged. This is called imitative volunteerism. The other one is called ventilatory volunteerism. So in this category, for example, institutions like Lions Club, Rotary Club, they do this volunteerism not as a main activity, but as a ventilatory activity. 4 days, 5 days, 6 days they work, and Sunday they have a eye camp. They organize a dental camp. So they also do such kind of volunteerism. There is also people who just start NGOs for a livelihood. I would say this is a livelihood volunteerism or survival volunteerism. Just for the survival purpose they are doing it. The one more category I would say, that is pseudo volunteerism. Pseudo means fraud. The other categories, as I have explained, they start the NGO either with a professional motive or with amateur psychology, all these things. But this category, deliberately they promote NGOs, some politicians, expelled police people, dismissed employees, they deliberately promote NGOs to get the money from the government and to misuse those resources. That is called pseudo volunteerism. Of late, I should explain the secondary or ancillary volunteerism. Their primary object, for example, CSR program. The primary objective is business, profit. The secondary objective is volunteerism. So this also accounts around 15%. The livelihood volunteerism, just for their own livelihood purpose, people are promoting NGOs, that contributes 20%. And the worst part of an NGO sector is the pseudo volunteerism that contributes 25%. That is why I have made this as a black mark. This is the black spot of the NGO, and society sees the NGO sector like this only. Because everything is covered in black, they see the entire NGO sector is a bad sector. We say it's a third sector, but they call it a bad sector because of the dark NGOs. It's a responsibility of all these NGOs. Even survival volunteerism is not that bad. This is deliberately organized by the expelled employees, corrupt politician, dismissed personnel. They deliberately make use of the law available in the country. They register it. They go and get the money and misuse it. So this needs to be removed. In the NGOs working in the country, except this category, all these categories are seen in the society, in the villages or urban towns. This is happening. So I don't take this into the working organization. All these categories are working. Here, I would, how this no? How this sacrificial person can slowly come down to a livelihood volunteerism person. A person who started as an amateur way, they can learn the art of social work, the art of NGO, the art of volunteerism, the art of working with the people, that go upward. So I would say the transfiguration takes place in the volunteer. That is my essence of explanation. So today somebody is professionally working. Tomorrow that NGO can go down. Tomorrow somebody is working as a imitative, amateur way. After gaining experiences, any NGO worker, if she or he enjoys the happiness that she or he has contributed something to the society, then the morale goes up. The greatest advantage of an NGO person is the satisfaction they enjoyed from the people. When they see people growing, that's the greatest motivation, that's the greatest inspiration, that the level of volunteerism goes up, boosted up. So the transfiguration takes place. So today you can see a good NGO, after 3 years, 4 years, the value may be going down. So today somebody may be doing a less quality work, they can grow. But our role, the society has a role. I always say, not to NGO, the society has a role that they have to eliminate this bad NGO, and society also has a role to encourage these NGOs to go upward. NGO workers need not be kept in frustration when they are working for the community, when they go to the people, when they go to the government, when they go to the banks. When NGO people approach this organization, there may be a welcome to these people, and that enables the volunteerism. If volunteerism goes upward and upward, the country's problems are going downward and downward. This is the formula. More number of volunteerism, more number of people are volunteers involved, problems are reducing. This is in the loggerheads. So not only NGO work, I want to see this presentation not by the NGO workers alone, but for the society. Anybody who has concern for the society must listen to lectures like this and encourage who are working for others. Any NGO initiative taken with a genuine motive, I would say it will not fail. Suppose a NGO, a voluntary worker, social worker goes to a village and it is a problem. He may be organized at least 10, 20 self-help groups. Even if the person is able to organize 10 self-help groups or 20 self-help groups, he has the contact with 200, 300 families, average 10 to 20 members are there, the group members. So these 300 families, when you are going and working for the people, they will take care of your needs. I know people have paid the petrol for the social workers. People have paid the honorarium for the people. They go and write the accounts for the group members. They pay 100 rupees per group. So if the 30 groups are there, 30 groups, every group is paying 100 rupees for helping them to helping the accounts. So any genuine initiative will not fail. But one thing I was observing, any NGO survives for first 3 years. Then they grow more and more. The first 3 years is a crucial period. So I was advocating many people, when you go to NGO, don't go without money. So without money if you go, whatever the commitment you have, they will look down upon you. So some people, they resign the job and they go. I say, when you do the job, be in the job, earn some money, a portion of money you spend for the volunteers of work, unless you are sustainable, you don't leave the job. So this is whatever, it may be a job or a business or anything else, people do it. Emotionally they resign the job and go to the community. So the sustainability, unless the person is not sustainable, how he can help the people to be sustainable? So person like me, many people like me are advocating, when you go to work with the people, have some sustainability. But when you work for the people, they will pay the charges. They will pay the fees for whatever you are supposed to do it. Because the stage has come. In foreign countries, they pay service charges for NGOs. But it is now coming up. Any genuine service will not be forsaken by the community, because people are our real masters. They can support. Even if the small support will encourage the person. This is how we have to go about it. A tree is known by its fruits. This is clear. Mango tree will give mango fruits. Jack tree will give jack fruits. A good tree will give good fruits. So a bad tree will give bad fruits only. It is visible. So when we are closing our eyes and ears for a bad initiative of somebody in your own village or in your community, then they have their deep root. So I would say, bad things are happening in the country, in the world, not because of the activity of the bad people, but the inactivity of the good people. So society, you and I have a definite obligation to see that bad things are controlled directly and indirectly. But if we are the indifferent attitude, whatever happens, somebody let it happen. That attitude only enables this kind of people to happen. When you see intervene, when something goes wrong, you raise your voice, and such thing can be eliminated. So because the social inactiveness is the reason for all these things. Not only this, any social problem, all this is happening. So a lot of things are happening to the women. In our own Kerala state, we had here a lot of bad things happening to the women's safety. Why? The society is not yet active to respond to a bad activity. So if that's called social consciousness, the social control over the human beings. So both have to, the individuals control society, the society controls society, which is bigger. Individuals control society, the society controls individual, which is bigger. Society. Collective strength is much, when we are collectively strong, bad things will be rooted out. So this is not only for the NGO sector point of view, pseudo point of view. I would take this question to address the listeners that in the society, wherever you are, it may be a rural community, urban community, tribal community, or advanced community. Let the society be sensitive for good things and also sensitive to control the bad things. Your gesture of response will make the bad elements go away.